that the ex-girlfriend of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has been executed by firing squad. North Asia correspondent Mark Willisey reports she and others were accused of taking part in pornographic films.
The Chosun Ilbo newspaper in Seoul is quoting a source as saying that a dozen well-known North Korean performers were executed by firing squad last week. Reportedly among them was the famous singer Hyun Song-wol, who was once the girlfriend of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Hyun and her colleagues were accused of filming themselves having sex and then selling the videos, with copies going on sale in China as well. The source in the Chosun Ilbo newspaper said the accused were lined up and shot with machine guns. Mark Willisey, ABC News.
Scientists in the United States say they have identified a new protein they believe is linked to memory loss in older people. Researchers from Columbia University in New York say the discovery could lead to treatments to reverse forgetfulness. The BBC's Pallet Gosh with the story.
Using live lab mice and human brains and donated to science, Professor Crandall's team found that as the mice and humans got older, they had less of a protein called RBAP48. They wondered whether it was linked to memory loss associated with aging, so they created genetically modified young mice with less of the protein and found they did less well in navigating their way through a maze. Conversely, older mice, modified to have more of the protein, did much better.
Returning home, a Tasmanian mining company denies a changeover of underground mining contractors on the west coast will result in hundreds of jobless. The Australian Workers Union says about 500 workers could be out of a job on Sunday at Mount Lyell, Rosebery and Renison mines. Mount Lyell mine operator, Copper Mines of Tasmania, says almost all of the underground mining jobs are being filled by local employees. CMT says the changeover in contractors is part of a normal 3-yearly tender. Further north, police have spent the afternoon questioning a 14-year-old schoolboy over the stabbing of a fellow student in Brisbane's northwest. Here's Francis Tappen.
The incident happened in an auditorium at Mount Maria College around lunchtime. Detective Inspector Mark Reid says a 15-year-old was wounded in the neck. He says a 14-year-old fled to school, called 000 and was picked up by a police patrol car.
The 14-year-old boy could face charges in regard to what's taken place today.
School principal Mark Bauer says the injured boy is recovering in the Royal Brisbane Hospital.
Our thoughts at this time are very much with the young man and his family. He is in a stable condition and it is not a life-threatening situation.
He says parents were alerted by SMS. Classes will resume as normal tomorrow.
Rangers in North Queensland have trapped a huge crocodile that's been lurking near a popular boat ramp in Halifax. Residents spotted the 4.5-metre reptile earlier this week. State Environment Minister Andrew Powell says it took several rangers to remove the croc, which is likely to be taken to a zoo or reptile sanctuary.
This croc is so large that it's going to have to be put on a weight registry weigh. Every likelihood that it's almost as old as I am at around 40, so it's certainly one of the largest ones we've seen and certainly demonstrates that we take seriously the need to get public safety right.
Internationally recognised West Australian artist Matt Doust has died suddenly in Los Angeles. The 29-year-old was a finalist in the 2011 Archibald Prize with a portrait of Perth model and actress Gemma Ward. Hollywood actors including Jim Carrey and Mickey Rourke also own his paintings. Doust's last Perth exhibition was at Ben Gallery in 2012, and autopsies being conducted to determine the cause of death. Looking to finance, and the All Ordinaries in the ASX 200 finished the day 5 points higher today, a gain of 0.1% that saw the All Ords finish at 5,083 and the ASX at 5,092. Mostly gains elsewhere in the region as well, though gold is down $11 but still trading at 1,407. The Australian dollar just can't get back to 90. It's at 89.4 US right now. 57.6 pence. It's up to 67.4 euro cents and has gained against the yen to be about 87.7. That's finance for now. Let's turn to ABC News Radio Sport. There's been a bit going on in rugby league, Cameron.
Yeah, that's right. Canberra Raiders Wenger Shandell early facing a lifetime ban after agreeing to the use and trafficking of the peptide CJC 1295. The 23-year-old made the admission in an interview with the Australian Sports Anti-Doping Authority this week. Under the World Anti-Doping Agency Code, someone found guilty of trafficking of prohibited substances faces at minimum a 4-year ban up to a lifetime ban. A 2-year ban is expected for the use of a banned substance. The length of the suspension was not announced by the NRL. Their CEO, Dave Smith, says L has accepted the provisional sanction and now has has 10 days to accept the ban or go to a hearing.
So we've been with his lawyers today. We've been talking to Shandor over the last few days. As I said earlier, he's a human being, and we need to make sure we're covering his welfare as well. The reaction has been an ongoing discussion, for Shandor to make that admission, quite clearly that's a big deal, and we're making sure that we look after him.
Mel was due to leave the NRL at the end of this year and take up a rugby union contract in Europe. It's now in doubt. The Canberra CEO, Don Furness, says he understands the allegations made against Erler from before he joined the Raiders. The Essendon Football Club, Dr. Bruce Reid, is said to take his fight with the AFL to courts to try to clear his name. Mark Doman reports.
Dr. Reid has been charged by the AFL with bringing the game into disrepute over his involvement in the club's experimental supplements program. Negotiations between Dr. Reid and the league have ended. He's released a statement saying he's asked the AFL to release documents that will allow the matter to go before the Supreme Court. Dr. Reid is adamant that he's innocent and wants to fight the charges against him in a public hearing. Lawyers for Dr. Reid asked for the matter to be heard before an independent hearing. The AFL Commission rejected that proposal. Mark Doman, ABC News, at AFL House in Docklands.
Fremantle has made 10 changes for their match against St Kilda this weekend as the Dockers rest players for the final. Aaron Sandilands will play, which could be a massive boost for the club ahead of the finals. At 5, Zach Clark, Hayden Ballantyne, Nick Subin are among those out of the match at Docklands. Hawthorn's Jordan Lewis will take on the Swans tomorrow night after he was named to play, while Cyril Riol is out with an ankle injury. Jude Bolton returns for Sydney. In tennis, Australian Leighton Hewitt's through to the second round of the US Open in New York after beating American Brian Baker in 4 sets, 6-3, 4-6, 6-3, 6-4. He'll play the 2009 champion Juan Martín del Potro for a place in the third round. The defending champ Andy Murray cruised through to the second round with a 6-2, 6-4, 6-3 victory over Michael Logra. American James Blake is now officially retired. He lost to Ivo Karlovic in 5 sets despite being up 2 sets to love. He did announce this was to be his last tournament. The 15th seed, Sloane Stephens, has defeated Ursula Radwanska in straight sets to get through to the third round. Other second round winners today include the 3rd seed Agnieszka Radwanska, the 5th seed Lee Nunn and Laura Robson. In cricket, Australian fast bowler Ryan Maris has been ruled out for 6 to 8 weeks. He had scans on a hamstring injury today that he sustained during the 5th Ashes test. Tonight, the men's and women's Australian teams face England in 2020 matches. Women must win to keep alive their chances of returning the Ashes. That's the second T20 in their series. The men play their first 2020 match. And in horse racing, trainer Greg McFarlane has been disqualified for 2 years, and stable employee Carmen Hepburn has been given 12 months disqualification for attempting to tube racehorse Ferrochimo last month. The horse was due to race at Rose Hill on July 6, but was withdrawn by stewards after being caught with the tube in its nose. McFarlane has pleaded guilty. He was given an 18-month disqualification as well as another 6 months for hindering stewards and officials.
Cameron Green on what's been a pretty busy afternoon in sport. Let's go to James Eagle and see how what it's like on the roads. He's from the Australian Traffic Network.
Good evening in Brisbane, especially Browns Plains Road at Grand Plaza Road, Browns Plains, cars at the barrier as well. Scenic Drive near Mount Cootha Road, Mount Cootha. Those accidents should be clear very soon. In City, a breakdown on the western distributor near the fish market in Piermont. Accidents on the River Road, Reed, Speed, Burns Road, a Ridbar, Canterbury Road and Boxon Road, Punchbowl as well. In Melbourne, accidents Johnson Street, Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. One on the South Gippsland Highway and Milby Road, Hampton Park. Another one at Sunshine, Anderson Road and Foundry Road, and very busy through the city, and Richmond on Alexandra Avenue, Olympic Boulevard and Swan Street. In Adelaide at the Hills, a pothole has Strathalbyn Road closed between Bridgewater Road and Mylor Road in Iron Bank. In Perth, finally, delays James Street, Johnson Street and Guildford. And we've got some ducks trying to cross Burns Beach Road near the roundabout Connolly Drive in Kinross. Hope they get across safely. I'm James Engleman. That's the latest ABC News Radio traffic.
Weather-wise, and Brisbane a fine partly cloudy Friday, 27 degrees expected, and Sydney the same, 27, and a sunny day for you. Maybe an early shower in Canberra, but 20 degrees forecast, and Melbourne almost flat, 19 tomorrow, and some showers forecast for the Victorian capital. A little morning rain for Hobart, but then 18 degrees later in the day. Possible early shower for you in Adelaide as well, 20 degrees by the end of the day. It'll be a bit windy in Perth and a few showers expected as well, 21 the maximum. Darwin the warmest again, 32 with a possible shower for you. Developments continuing to come thick and fast on the Syrian front. We'll have a look at what the Foreign Minister of Australia has to say about that delicate issue next. 6:45 in the east is 6:15 Central Time, and in Western Australia it's 5:45. You're up to date on ABC News Radio, where you get headlines every 15 minutes.
ABC News Radio headlines.
Russia is said to be set to send an anti-submarine ship and a missile cruiser to the Mediterranean as rumours of a strike on Syria continue. More on that to come. Police have spent the afternoon questioning a 14-year-old schoolboy over the stabbing of a fellow student in Brisbane's northwest. And the National Rugby League says Canberra player Shandor Earl has accepted a suspension for anti-doping policy breaches. Been issued with an infraction notice after admitting to the use and trafficking of peptide CJC 1295. Well, US President Barack Obama might not have decided on a military strike against Syria just yet, but he says he's in no doubt that the Syrian government was behind the chemical attack on civilians last week. Australia's Prime Minister Kevin Rudd was briefed on the crisis today, and he also says that evidence is overwhelming.